Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Toby Hamilton, and I'm here today on another episode of Conversation with Giants, which is an initiative started by Dr. Tola Awosika. However, today I got the honor to actually do his interview. So I'm here with Dr. Tola Awosika, who is a Nigerian entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and also a politician. Tola is the CEO and founder of the 355 Hospitality Group. He's also the CEO and founder of MedIn Pharmaceuticals, and also a philanthropist who started the Tola Awosika Foundation. Join me in welcoming someone who I consider a giant of our time and someone who started this amazing series called Conversation with Giants. Hi, Tola.
Hello,
I'm so
Toby.
happy to welcome you today, or to interview rather.
Yeah,
How's it going?
when you were speaking, I didn't know he was speaking about it. Clearly isn't me.
Tola, don't be humble.
I'm just Tola Awosika.
Tola, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
I would actually like you to introduce yourself again. Not because I feel like you need any more introduction, but I feel like Nigeria is big. There's so many people in the population, and a lot of people who might be coming across this conversation with giants that you've started might actually not know who Tola Awosika is.
Yep.
So please tell us, who is Dr. Tola Awosika?
So Tola Awosika, as Toby said, is everything she said. Maybe, I'm not too sure. But I'm Dr. Tola Awosika. I'm an entrepreneur, businessman, philanthropist, aspiring politician, or active aspiring politician. And like Toby said, I've spent the last decade plus growing and building businesses across different sectors. Hospitality initially, and I pivoted to construction, oil and gas, maritime, pharmaceuticals, energy. These are the sectors I consider to be essential business. So I call myself the essential group. And what that essentially means is everything that affects the bottom of the pyramid, the common man, is what we go after. So from food and beverage to accommodation with our hotel brand to fitness, and then of course the pharmaceutical side to healthcare, to energy, to maritime, construction, infrastructure, anything that affects the bottom of the pyramid is what we do as a group. So I like to refer to our group as Essential Group.
And you try to be humble. How does that make you just a Tola Awosika?
It's a story being written. Hopefully one day we can tell the full story.
Before we get into it, I mean, we're sat here, it's afternoon of the day. Can I ask how your day was to even start this conversation? How has your day been, and what have you achieved today?
I mean, typically my days are pretty standard across board. I start my day at 5 a.m. With a morning,
actual 5 a.m.?
Yeah, 5 a.m. every day. I start with a morning prayer. Make my way to the gym. I work out between 6 o'clock and 8 a.m. Typically, I run 10 kilometers every day, and I work out, do some weight and boxing. I love boxing. And then I go back home. In between my workouts and my breakfast, I do a lot of emails. So I typically don't like to keep my emails in my inbox more than 30 minutes. So I check my emails every 20 minutes. So typically, I respond to emails that have kind of piled up probably overnight, because the nature of my businesses, I get emails from different companies. So there's really no time.
About how many
allotment.
emails do you think you tackle
So
per
on
day?
average, every day I go to about 300 emails.
Yikes.
Every day across. And these are not emails that I have to scan through. These are emails I need to respond to. So 300 responses, probably 500 emails.
Across how many sectors?
So across three major sectors.
Wow.
Pharmaceuticals, energy, and hospitality. So typically, I start my day and my week. Typically, I started off in Lagos, and by the weekend, I've probably gone through 2 cities and maybe 2 countries. It depends on the week. So I'm always on the road. I'm always traveling. I'm always moving, responding on the move, putting out fires on the move. But typically, that's been the story so far.
Okay. So technically, before today, you've lived 5 lives.
Yeah.
It brings me to my next question. Can you share with me, was this something in your early life or early career journey that made you know, you said that most of your work or your businesses is geared towards what the common man needs on a day-to-day.
Yeah.
Is there any reason or anything that shaped the beginning of your career journey that made you focus on this kind of industries, or wanting to have businesses that were targeted to nation building, can I say, or potentially wanting to build the middle class?
Yeah, essentially, growing up, I was a very concerned young man, right? I very strangely, before I even turned 10, when I'm given food on the dining table, I take the food out to the security guard and share and eat it with him, right? So it's always been something, I've always been the kind of person who likes to share, concerned about people not having, wanting to give people, and it's been like that from childhood. Me today is different from who I was then. I was very secluded in doing that. So I didn't speak to a lot of people. I was very isolated as a child, a youngest of 4 kids. They call me a special child because I just didn't say much, but I just, things that mattered to me, I pursued it to the end, right? I was isolated growing up. I grew up, with pets. So myself and a particular pet grew up together for 10 years, and this was my go-to person for everything.
Wow. What was this? What
It was
kind
a
of
dog.
pet was it?
It was a dog.
Okay.
It was a dog, and the dog's name was Snoopy.
Okay.
In fact, it was so bad that my mom thought that there was something evil that had gotten into this pet.
Nigerian moms.
Yeah, and she was very concerned from her own side of the family. I guess they have what is pursuing them. But anyway, she found a way of getting rid of this dog, and that was one of a big blow for me. But what that animal taught me was to pay attention, to care for people, because you have to. And I'm raising my kids with animals because of what that did for me, right? It put me in touch with humanity, right? And for me, myself and that dog, as strange as it sounds, connected. I was concerned about the dog taking a shower. I used to brush the dog's teeth. It slept on my bed every day. So for me, that kind of groomed that cautious effort to always want to know what people are going through and help. And I found myself hanging around the domestic staff and ensuring that they're good, and going back to my parents when they needed something, even though now that I know better, a lot of them probably didn't need those things, but it just took advantage of the fact that I could, right? But I mean, that basically molded my life growing up. And ever since then, I've just scaled that concern right now, and I've deployed it across what I do.
I really, really like that. I like that because it's so interesting for people to not realize what shapes people. And now in thinking about it, it would make sense because a lot of your businesses are always geared towards nation building. Yeah. Tola is always wondering, how can I build the middle class of this country?
Correct.
Now, how do you go from transitioning from someone who cared about people to then wanting to, or realizing that you had to lead industries and kind of take on that kind of challenge? Because it's one thing to care, and when you care, you kind of see the day-to-day, which sometimes kind of puts people puts people off wanting to lead. How did you get from seeing all of that and still saying, I'm going to go towards this and I'm going to take on leadership roles?
So it comes down to my background. I mean, I was someone who was concerned and cared, but I did something about it from a young age, right? The guy who was hungry at the gates, I took my food and I shared it with him.
Okay.
Right? I solved his problem, his hunger problem. I solved it, right? So when I had the opportunity to solve problems on my own, I went after every problem I could solve, right? And that informed my entire business journey today. When I started with hospitality 14 years ago, there was nothing in this country. There was nothing.
I remember.
I came back and I said to myself, first of all, we need a place to hang out as young people.
Literally.
And second of all, there was this dominance in the sector, right, of a certain group, and I felt like there was a need to kind of, make that a bit broader and bring more people into the industry. So I went in 14 years ago when, it wasn't very common for a Nigerian to own this sort of business. And I went in there and it was a huge success in the very early days, and we scaled and continue to scale ever since then. And for me, what that did, my biggest, people ask me, my biggest, achievement as far as hospitality is concerned is the fact that I was able to open the door for many people to come in after me. And, today you're one of the, you're one
I
of the
can
big,
say that. I'd love
one
to
of the
tell
big
you that
players
story,
in the industry.
yes.
And when when that idea came, you came to me and we had this conversation, and I was so excited about it. And many stories very similar, because we were solving problems, converting your concerns into actual solutions, right? And That has been my MO across every business that I go into.
Yeah.
Is either as an investor or as a founder.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. If this business is not adding value, if this business is not solving the problem, I'm not interested. Right?
Got
So,
you.
and that's how I found myself in all the major sectors that I consider as essential business.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you guys a bit about my story, and Tola, you're very responsible for me coming into hospitality. I'll never forget when I had the idea. I knew I wasn't experienced. I knew I had no business in there, but I was genuinely similar to you, bothered by the fact that how can we have such a big industry that we Nigerians were not playing with
Correct.
in. I remember in my early 20s, Tola was already a businessman. Like I said, you had this restaurant, we all just used to come.
Yeah.
We did not understand that you were actually running a
Correct.
business.
Right.
Now that I'm in it, I'm like, wow, how were you doing that at such a young age? How are you able to carry such responsibilities at such a young age?
So for me, you know, the moment as a visionary, as a businessman, you're able to separate what you can gain financially from the problem you're solving, you go the furthest. So for me, it was never about money. In the beginning, it was about solving the problem and filling the gap, right? For me, it's very easy to make money, right? But how do you solve problems, right? So for me, I mean, the reason why I was so determined was because money wasn't the priority, solving the problem was the priority. So and like I said, from a very early age, I'm used to solving problems. Whether it's a hunger problem, literally, I would take money, pocket money at the time, whatever is 50 naira they give us to go to school, and I'll give I'll give the driver 20 naira out of it to go. Yeah, so it's been in me to want to solve problems and help people. So for me, it came as a no-brainer, and I just took on the mantle very early at the age of 23. Before that, I started my first business at 21, and that was in England when I started the shoe business.
I remember that
the
actually.
fashion business in England, and then that company was sold many years after to Ted Baker. A lot of people don't even know that was the background. I used proceeds from that money to come to Nigeria to start. Right? That business was sold.
What was that brand called again?
Butterfly Twist.
Butterfly Twist.
That business was sold. My equity in it was taken out. It was sold to Ted Baker at the time for £8 million in 2007.
Wow.
Right? And I took my own equity, came in, still tried to help expand that business in Nigeria, but the retail market wasn't ready. It was still very early.
I remember.
So I then pivoted to hospitality and began to solve another problem. Butterfly Twist was founded based on a problem. What was the problem? We found that ladies that were going out clubbing in England, 9 out of 10 ladies will leave the club without no shoes.
We'll carry our shoes in our hands.
You hold your shoes and you're walking at -2 degrees in the cold, because at that point you've had a couple drinks and you can't walk in those heels.
Yes.
So we came up with this foldable shoes
I actually
that could
owned
fit
it.
in the side of a cigar box. And we put them, and we got vending machines from China. My first trip to China was 2008. First time I went to China.
Tola, how did I not know this about you?
So a lot of people don't know this. I went to China in 2008, stayed there, got manufacturers, they built the vending machine, did the shoes. They came to England. We were in every club in England, the whole of West End and everywhere. The company was there, the vending machine was there. We put it in there. You literally go there. It was £5 at the time. You put your notes or your coins in, you get it was disposable shoes at the time. And then we did a transition, grew that business, and sold it to Penland Group, who own Ted Baker and Speedo and all the rest. And it's in over 300 countries right now. It's doing very well. It has a life of its own. But again, we've been solving problems since we started this journey. Yes. So coming to Nigeria wasn't going to be any different. We came here, we met a lot of problems, when we decided which one to solve it at each particular time.
Let me throw you off a little bit. Tola, I want to know, what 3 words would people use to describe you?
3 words.
Yes.
Stubborn.
We know that.
Stubborn, 100%. Determined at the same time.
I see that.
Right? And I would say, because I want to be nice, I would say friendly, if you're able to get close.
Fair.
Because I'm very concerned about people. But from a distance, people don't get that energy from me.
And what 3 words would you describe yourself?
Stubborn.
At least we have one consistent word.
Yeah. I try to break that every day, because when I went into politics, I realized that wasn't an advantage.
I cannot wait to unpack that.
It wasn't an advantage, but hey, you're stubborn for the right reasons. I'm stubborn because I want to get the job done. I'm stubborn because this is right.
Do you think you have to be stubborn to get the job done?
I won't say when I'm trying to get the job done, I'm stern, not stubborn.
Got you.
Right?
Okay.
So, but people, you come across as stubborn,
yeah.
because people cannot change your opinion on how you want to do things. But I'm like, it's not about the process, it's about the result. Wait till I'm done, and then you decide.
Yes.
Right. So for me, I would say definitely I can be stubborn, and I'm working on it. I would say generous.
Very.
I think so.
I take that.
And I would say, I'm a bridge builder. I think I connect a lot of bridges, connect a lot of people, and I'm always happy to do it. So I think those 3 words.
I would also add visionary to it, because I feel like when I came to you with my business, obviously there's the world where people are like, are you sure you're going to go and meet Tola to tell him that you want to open a restaurant? I'm like, yeah, I have to go and check if he's truly a visionary.
Yeah.
And I sat down with you, and you literally looked at me, and I said, oh, I'm thinking of this. And you looked at me and said, why are you thinking? You're going to do it. And I stopped and I said, okay, he's a visionary. And I say that because a lot of people see building as it should just be me. What gives you the confidence to keep bringing people into your industries without worrying that they're going to compete with you?
Because for me, I don't compete, I collaborate.
Okay.
Right. So for me, it's not about competition, is about collaboration, but people don't understand the difference, right? Everyone can make money, but we can make money if we collaborate, right?
Even
More
together.
money if we collaborate. So where I'm weak, you're strong. Where you're strong, I'm weak, and it will get to a point. I keep telling people there are restaurants in the western part of the world, right? There are places in the western part of the world where you have a whole strip that is filled with restaurants.
That's
10,
it.
15, 20 restaurants. No one's competing against the neighbor.
They even call
Literally,
customers for each other.
You come into a restaurant and you say, oh, I feel like eating something that is not too heavy. And they'll say, oh, you know, that's a great, they have really, it can never happen in Nigeria. Because people feel
Do you
like,
think it can never happen, or we're not
it
there
hasn't
yet?
happened.
Okay.
It hasn't happened, but my idea is that this should be the motive of every entrepreneur, everyone that's going into business. So
Do you
for
think
me,
we
I'm
can
never
get
scared.
there together?
We can, amongst many other things that affect how we coexist today as Nigerians, where we are, a very, very diverse country in terms of culture, in terms of religion, and it plays a major role in how we perceive things.
Yeah.
So it might take a real
I think it would take
visionary
a long
and
time.
someone who can unify the country. Nigeria is all about leadership. Nigerians are natural followers. Right?
Yes.
So if you have a visionary who is really united and a unifier, that doesn't see a Yoruba man, doesn't see an Igbo man, doesn't see an Hausa man, sees a Nigerian, you can get the job done, and you're good to go. I think we'll get there when that happens.
This brings me to my next question. So over the years, I watched you go from an entrepreneur, and I saw a lot of your philanthropic journey and slowly your political journey. And now listening to you, I can see where the link is, because from a young age, you were doing certain things that kind of link everything together, but I still have to ask.
Correct.
What would you say is the reason for then, it could be the same reason, but doing it on a personal scale of wanting to help the people around you is one thing. How did you pivot from, I'm an entrepreneur, but this my little world is not enough. I want to go into philanthropy and I want to go into politics. How, I need to understand that journey. Did you always know, or was there a point in your entrepreneurial journey that made you know that this is the next step for me?
I think life is about perspective and it's about definitions, right? What is politics? Politics is about service to people. It's humanity, it's service, it's sacrifice. From a young age, I've been sacrificing my food, my allowance, my pocket money, whatever.
Your time.
My time, whatever I had access to as a little kid, right? So what did I do differently now? I just formalized what I was already doing.
Got you.
Right? Whether it's by way of a foundation, because you have to do things the proper way and the structured way. So the structured way to give back to community will be having a proper organization, right, that handles your philanthropy. And that's why I formalized the Tola Awosika Foundation. Philanthropy has been going on way before that. But what this does now is just keep proper accounts of what you're doing, right, with the right structure around it. And you're able to attract more, right, in terms of donations and funding to be able to do more. So that was formalizing it. That wasn't trying to make a statement. That was just making sure it's a formal process that I'm following and everything is legitimate. So that's what I've done. And with public service, it's the same thing, right?
Very similar.
I'm only moving away from my private capacity to my public capacity to help. Because I'm helping and I'm doing what I can in the private capacity, and I've now gone to the public life to try and, give my time and give my own skills, using government resources to help a bit further than where I can get to.
Amazing. I know most people don't like to pick what initiative they like the most, but I am processing the array of your businesses, your portfolio, the industries, and I want to ask you, what initiative have you birthed the most that you're very proud of, and why?
So pride in itself comes from a place of pain, right? I
Can
think.
you expand that, please?
So what that means in itself is you're most proud of something when they've gone through
Pain
the fire
to get it. Got it.
right? So
Okay.
you realize that when you take an exam as a student, that you studied all night and you get an A+ for it, it feels a lot better than when you get an A+ and you didn't have to do an overnighter.
This is true.
You went through pain to get that A+. So as
That's
a
why you say I suffered.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
Right? And as a business person, when you go through the fire and you see results, that for me is is definitely the most encouraging. And I would say out of all my businesses I've been birthed from, and I've gone through the fire and I've gone through some pains, but I would say the most sacrificial is probably the pharmaceutical business.
Can't wait to
Because
unpack this.
industrialization is just something in this country that is still very new, but has unbelievable hurdles that a lot of people, would either fall or possibly even die trying to get to the
I
finish
am
line.
so happy you pivoted us here very nicely. Tola, you don't have a medical background. In listening to you speak, I can see why you would go into can I call it the medical industry?
Yeah,
or
medical
the
field, for sure.
medical field. I have to ask you first, why?
You're a product of your environment. I grew up around medication.
Okay.
I grew up around medicine, and I grew up around medical practitioners. My father is a surgeon. My mom is a pharmacist.
Got
Right?
you.
So naturally, they wanted me to become a doctor. So they wanted me to do sciences in school. Right? Sciences were my thing, so I moved to arts, and that's why I have a degree in economics and politics, as opposed to a medical degree. My sister, on the other hand, took the medical side. So growing up, we used to, I won't say self-medication, but self-diagnosis, because we had the medical practitioners around us. My dad is a surgeon. You have malaria, the dude, he will remove a hanger, right? Put the hanger up and put the drip and give you the
Sorry.
injection. Yeah, it converts the bedroom into a theater because he's licensed to do it, right? So for me, it's always been around us. So in terms of information and knowledge, I've always had it around. So I even advise my friends sometimes, oh, you have malaria, go take X, Y, and Z. I'm not a doctor,
Right.
but again, it's been around me enough, right? So it was a no-brainer, along with my background of, being an humanitarian, wanting to help people. There's nothing more exciting than knowing that what you do is saving lives.
Ugh.
So today, Medin Pharmaceutical is servicing the 36 states in this country, 52 teaching hospitals.
What
36
do you
states.
produce?
We produce all liquid medicines, so from IVs to eye drops to all liquid parentals.
Wow.
We do that, and literally, we save lives. During COVID was a reality check for us as a country. Desperate times. The world was shutting down. No one knew where the world was going, and Africa was always going to be the last.
On everybody's
Right.
minds. They actually predicted we're going to die.
The entire globe didn't give us a chance, right? And they didn't care either, right? So we had to look inward to see what we can do to survive, right? And kudos to the Nigerian government. I personally think that was, in the last 2 decades,
That's probably
been
the first.
That's probably been the first time that everything was put aside. Politics was put aside. Parties were put aside. Religion, tribe, and how do we survive, right? I saw billionaires. I'm talking about uncles. These are people Egbons that are my people. I saw them literally die, right? Because it's COVID, right? It takes you. And we didn't have the facilities to help a bit better. I mean, if you're going to go, you're going to go. but sometimes you can prevent certain things, right? And the government just took it upon itself to ensure that pharmaceutical companies will succeed. And I was a big advocate of speaking to government and talking to government about the need to support this sector. And that's when they rolled out the intervention. They literally, the government literally gave us a blank check. Look, I have these facilities for you, 15, 10 years. Take the money, 5%, pretty much free money. At that time, I think, I was able to get access to between $5 and $8 million at the time. And I used that to expand the plant. And that's why today, we have a pretty decent capacity, and we're one of the top 5 emerging pharmaceutical companies. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to wrap my head around this. Are you not scared to go into an industry that, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you're now playing in a life-saving, do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so,
does that not scare you? How do you go from hospitality, like making people lifestyle,
making people
gyms, feel good, to like
lives.
saving lives? Did that not scare you?
I mean, my dad tells me every time, the problem is that you don't feel, you're not scared of anything.
I can tell.
But fear is useful sometimes because it can make you press the brakes. But for me, it's like, listen, what's the worst that's going to happen? You fail, start again, right? So for me, you can't fail if you don't try, right? So for me, it was to try it out. I mean, it was a dream of my parents initially had the idea, but they didn't have the energy and the willpower to push it forward. Right? So when I came, I took everything on, and I literally moved the plant from where it was at 2 million bottles a year in terms of production capacity, and I took it to where it is now.
See, my eyes are widening, opening, closing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we were producing 2 million bottles a year, so it's a pretty small factory that wasn't a drop in the ocean. Today we're at 28 million bottles a year, and I grew the company from probably a 2 billion naira company to a close to 100 billion naira company today. And it was from dedication and focus, really, and the concern for wanting to change the Nigerian story.
Was there any point in your journey that you almost gave up, especially in building the pharmaceutical company, and how did you scale through? Because the magnitude of what you're saying, I know you said 2 million bottles, that seems like a lot to me, and then now you're at 28 million.
Correct.
I need to know, was there a point you almost gave up?
So I tell people every time, I typically give up every night. So the truth is, between 5 a.m. and 6 o'clock, I give up at probably like 5:30, right? Because I'm like, you know what? Too many problems. It's probably never going to end. I'm done. But at 5 a.m., I'm back fighting again, right? And that's the difference between someone who wants to win, right? And someone who wants to settle. For me, I'm not going to be satisfied until I can sit back and say, you know what? I won.
That gap between giving up and picking back up, what happens in between that?
So you're really not, you're exhausted. So you're kind of throwing the towel in. It's like a boxing match.
Okay.
And I refer everything to boxing because I'm a huge boxing guy,
fan, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And boxing for me is one of the most disciplined sports, right? Because it requires not just your physical strength, but your mental strength,
discipline,
right?
focus.
And your discipline and your focus. And like every boxing fight, right? And Mike Tyson will tell you, everyone has a plan until you get into the ring and you get hit in the face.
Oof.
So you get in from round, you train for 7 months in fight camp. And then you get in round 1, they give you a straight punch in the face and your game plan is completely off.
Gone.
So what you came with is not exactly what you're going to execute. You have to make adjustments. So for me, right, every day you go in there, right, and if you might win some rounds, you might lose some, doesn't mean you need to give up. So for me, it's about you lose this match, the next day you go back to training camp, and then you ask for another fight. And that's what it's about for me. So
essentially what Tola is saying is giving up is technically not an option if you want to succeed. And I take that. I really, really do. What I want to ask you, do you have a mentor? Because you speak like someone who is clear, has a direction, and I don't know, the clarity is it's too clear, especially for a lot of young people who we're still trying to find ourselves. As I am now, I'm still trying to figure out what the next step is. So for me, I want to know, do you have a mentor? Do you have mentors? Are there things that shape you on a day-to-day?
So I don't really have, I have role models.
Okay.
I would say people that I have kind of critically analyzed.
Can you share some with me?
So my political mentor, for example, or my political role model is the former governor of my state,
Okay.
Dr. Mimiko.
Okay.
Why is he a role model? This is someone who, medical doctor, a trained professional, and it was done with medical school. Him and his colleagues had the opportunity of going abroad to go practice medicine. And a couple of his friends today are successful surgeons in LA and in the US and England. And he stayed back after NYSC to open a local medical practice somewhere in Ondo State, right? And he stayed back, and literally his hospital was converted from a business entity to charity because people couldn't afford. So he just found that he was just solving people's problems for free because people will just come with problems and they can't pay. And then he realized that there was a problem with governance. So from there, he moved straight into politics, public life. And he started from literally a commissioner, and he was a commissioner, he was a SA, he was a SSG, he was a minister, and he eventually became a governor of the state, right? And literally, he took us from, where we were as a state in terms of infrastructure, healthcare, education, transformed that entire state in his 8 years as governor. But that's not what's impressive. Today, he walked away from Government House and has never been invited to any anti-corruption agency. Invited for questioning. Clean sheet. Because the entire time he was there, he had the interest of the people. And he only did things that were going to be pro-people. So for me, that's one of my mentors as far as politics is concerned.
And I would say, it's interesting to hear about these people because as a private citizen, everything government is just terrifying. Oh my God, everyone is bad. It must all be bad.
I'm sure you have plenty of questions around that.
I do. So show me, who is your other role models? I want to
very
know.
Controversial role model. Very controversial.
Oh God,
right?
don't say it, Tola.
I'm going to say.
Oh my God.
You know
okay,
who it is.
yes.
Yeah, it's Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Let's unpack this.
So, Trump for many reasons.
I don't like him. I don't even know why I don't like him, but I don't like him.
I'm sure people have their views.
Yes.
Right? Because largely when you're a big personality, right, and you have your own opinion on how you do things, people will have how they perceive or where they segment you, right?
Okay.
And I think Trump, for a lot of the people who don't like him, have segmented him to be maybe this racist, this whatever, sexist, whatever guy, and they don't see past that. But for me, you look at his life over 50 years as a businessman, call it bankruptcy, whatever. For him to be bankrupt, it means he tried to do something. People are sitting there accusing the man of being bankrupt. What did you do with your time? Nothing, right? So for me, he's a guy who has always been focused, right? As far as he also converted and he was able to scale his father's empire from what it was to the billionaire status.
He gets my respect as a private citizen.
Yeah. So for me, I like outspoken people that are very direct. That's what I like about him the most, right? Trump is the only politician, modern politician
He's honest,
that says it, exactly what he campaigns is what he's going to do. I'm going to shut down my borders and none of you are coming in.
Sorry.
Right?
Sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they won 150 executive orders. I was at the inauguration.
Tola, we knew you were there. Tola wore his dark suit I'm
suit.
here, proud supporter.
He signed all the executive orders based on what he campaigned.
Yes.
Why he won the election. When you find the politicians today, they tell you one story, they do another thing, right? So for me, I like the honesty. I like the fact that he's human.
Okay.
So he makes a lot of mistakes, right? People call it lies, call it whatever. He's just being Trump, right? He's not putting up any kind of facade or, some kind of pretense. So Trump is one of them. Denzel Washington is one of them.
Okay.
Denzel Washington, for many reasons, he's been able to balance his work, entertainment, life, and family. No controversies. Very wise man. Very successful, but yet very humble, right? So Denzel is one person that, definitely I kind of, look at in terms of public life.
That you select people based on different Denzel, Trump, Governor Mimiko, all very strong men, all leaders, all, you can call them titans of their
Yeah,
industries.
yeah.
Would you say you have a thing for power?
Oh yeah, I have a thing for control, right?
Okay.
I don't know. Control and power are probably twins.
Similar?
Yeah. But you know, the reason I like control is not because I want to control everything that happens with me and around me. I like control because I want things to be done the right way,
Yes.
right? And I think if I'm in control of it, I have a better chance of making that
I
happen.
think to build, you have to
Yeah,
have some
so,
level of control.
Anything I'm not at least 40% in control of, I either not look at it at all, or I take control of it. So yeah, you're probably right. Control and power. Yeah.
Yes. And how do you, we're speaking earlier, and I remembered sharing with you this latest news we got about how a particular government is enforcing some like policies to kind of adjust some freedom of expression in a particular country. And what you said stuck out to me. You said to me, oh, I don't really like that because any country that has the government dictating expression, it can go the other way, which is so interesting for someone who also needs control to execute. How do you manage that balance between understanding that people need freedom, but we also need to do some level of controls to steer and guide?
So with politicians, the biggest thing for politicians, I was going to say for us, but I'm not entirely a politician, but the biggest thing for politicians is they don't like to be criticized. They like to control content, like to control the narrative. For me, I'm a modern day politician. Bring
the heat.
Bring everything you can bring. I'll take it. I might not respond to it, but at least let me take it in my own private time. I can go reflect
Digest it.
and I can make adjustments moving forward for me. And that's why I think it's important. Freedom of speech should never be taken away in any shape or form, right? Those things are in the Constitution for a reason, right? And when any government is trying to manage what people say and how they say it, right, you're giving the government too much power. And you're taking that away from you slowly. And it doesn't help the objective nature, right, for the leaders themselves to make more informed decisions in the future. So for me, it's one thing. I keep telling all my friends, the moment I get into any public office, and you can't call me or send me a nasty message saying to me, Tola, you are a useless boy. I can't believe you are doing this is what you are doing. You need to be as nasty as possible on that message. I won't like it,
But you
right?
take it.
But I'll receive it, right? And when I'm in my own private time, I know what to do with it, right? So for me, it's very important that people around you can speak the truth.
Do you have a lot of people around you that are like direct?
Well, I thought I did.
Okay.
I thought I did, but when I got into politics, I realized that, it's a lonely journey.
I cannot wait to unpack this.
Yeah.
Tola, how do you go from having businesses where you are in control to literally entering politics? I can never forget when we first started getting hints of it. I was worried. I was scared. I was like, Tola, no, we want you in the private sector, like you're going into here. And I'm not going to lie to you, a lot of us are very cynical at the moment of a lot of young people going into politics, not because we don't believe that they have their hearts in the right places, but because we have seen years and decades of inefficiencies, and a lot of the young politicians are not necessarily speaking to us, so we cannot really point our fingers to what you're going to do there. Tola, why politics? Why?
I mean, so for me, is aside from politics being in my blood, a lot of people might know or might not know, my grandfather was the first finance minister of this country in the First Republic.
I knew that.
Sacrificed his life and died for Nigeria. And I'm saying died in the coup of the First Republic because he had a choice to not be involved in that coup. 2 days before the coup happened, the late Queen Elizabeth, right, sent the ambassador of the UK to Nigeria to my grandfather's house in Warri and said to him that the British intelligence have information that there's going to be a coup in 2 days and that they're going to come and capture him.
I have goosebumps.
He was the prime minister. Then Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister. My grandfather was the finance minister at the time. Right? He just moved from labor minister to finance minister. Right? And they came to his house and they told him this was going to happen. And the queen, who was his good friend at the time, Queen Elizabeth, and I think a picture of him is somewhere here. Right? had sent the team to come and basically extradite him from the country and get him out. And my grandfather looked at the delegation that came and said, look, I made my money in this country, right? I've served and spent all my life in this country. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die in this country. And I'm not going anywhere. He stayed. 2 days later, they came. They arrived in his house on my mom's birthday. She turned 13. Her first ever birthday party was literally ongoing. A seaplane arrived. Then they used to use seaplanes a lot because his house was waterfront. Seaplane arrived and said the Prime Minister at the time, Tafawa Balewa, was calling him for a meeting, emergency meeting. So he told my mom that the party should go on. He was going to go to Lagos and come back. So literally he took the seaplane and landed in the marina here. And from marina, took his convoy to Tafawa Balewa Square. And they got in there and the Prime Minister was tied up. And that was the coup. So they got him and the Prime Minister together in a room. And then they never saw their bodies for the next 1 year. They killed him. They kept his body. And that was it. So his remembrance of my mom's birthday. So the record of him dying is on my mom, but we actually don't know when they killed him. So the last time anyone saw him was on that day, right? And that's the coup happened. So he sacrificed his life.
Oh my God.
For this country, and for me, I grew up knowing that story. I grew up around a lot of politics and a lot of power, and for me, we're now here to finish what he couldn't do, right? And for me, and some of the family members say that, look, this political thing in the man, right? I mean, this guy negotiated deals for Nigeria. He got loans secured for this country. He was something else, right? If you read his story, and people say it seems like his political genes skipped his own immediate generation and went to his grandkids, and they see it in me all the time because I've always been pro-people.
What's his full name, please?
Festus Okotebo.
Festus Okotebo.
Yeah, Festus Okotebo. Everyone knows flamboyant businessman. He was very rich before he became a politician. Also a businessman.
Tola, that's you.
Also a businessman. He had a rubber factory, the leather factory. He had about 6 factories before he became minister, right? He produced all the boots for all the military people in the whole of the country. It was him. All the plastic he did. He had factories all over Warri. So he was very, very wealthy before he went into politics. I'm saying this background story because it seems like that fever
He's entered, basically.
Right? So again, the time came where I needed to move from what I controlled on my own to what I can control on a larger terrain. And I decided that, it was time for me to go and, get a seat on the table, listen to the conversations, hopefully make my way to the top of the seat and begin to steer the conversations on how the country should move.
That story just blew me away. Yeah. Like, that is... I'm actually sad a little bit because I don't like the fact that we don't hear stories like that. Yeah. Like, I got goosebumps. I felt pride. I felt like, so if someone can die for their country, I should be able to do more.
We don't have those politicians anymore.
Yeah.
Because people are there for the wrong reasons now.
Oh, I have a question for you. I'm not sure how you're going to answer this, but I have to ask it. Is Nigeria ready for young politicians?
So I would say yes, because that generation, they were all young. My grandfather was finance minister at the age of 43. Right? He was signing loans for this country at the age of 43. Now? Right? You had presidents at the time that were 29 and 32, right? Military leaders and, administrators. Right now, Nigeria is ready, but the issue is the quality of people, the younger generation, right? I'm scared about their motives, right? So in terms of regulation, during the Buhari administration, he made some very fundamental constitutional amendments. A lot of people have forgotten. He brought the age limit down of how young you need to be, how old you need to be to contest for House of Representatives seat, Senate seat, local government chairman seat, presidential seat. Then it used to be, I think, 55. Now it's brought presidential age limit to 45.
Oh, fair.
Right. So again, what were they doing? They were editing the framework that will allow young people essentially go after these offices. Problem is the quality of young people that are going after these offices now. I'm a bit concerned about their motives, what they would do if they are given the opportunity. That's the worry. And you can't sit back and worry, right? So what I'm doing now is I'm ensuring I'm part of that conversation.
Okay.
So when they're derailing, people like us can be there to steer them in the right
Similar
direction.
to what you want people to do for you
Exactly.
if you're in that
And I think they'll listen, because I've been in a lot of rooms with people that might be misguided about certain things, and I've been able to convince them, let's go down this route. And I think if we populate the space with enough progressive
like
people,
this.
I think the country will move forward.
I like this. It brings me to ask a question. Is there any reason young politicians are not engaging us when it's not time for elections? I have to ask this because I say it all the time. No one calls town hall meetings with entrepreneurs like myself. No one tries to educate us on what they would like from us over the next few years before a new election cycle comes. So I like that you are in the rooms talking to these young politicians, but how are you going to help us get that information to translate and populate with the right people?
So I think the biggest problem our generation has is people don't have sufficient understanding of the system first.
I agree.
Right? We run a federal system of government, which means there are three arms of government. You have the legislative arm, the executive arm, the judiciary, right? All separate arms that have their separate functions and separate powers. At that level, the central level, we run a system where you have a central government, a federal government, and a state government, right? In the state government level, you also have three arms of government. You have the local,
So complicated.
you have the judiciary, and you have the legislature, right?
Gotcha.
A lot of those town hall engagements, right, are at local levels.
I see.
Right? So they do engage, right? And these town hall meetings and things happen weekly. You wouldn't know because you probably don't know what ward you're from.
I don't. That's the truth.
Most people in Nigeria, we ask them they'll tell you, I'm from Ogun State.
Yes.
You know, ask them where in Ogun State. You might be lucky that they know the local government. You might be lucky, right? But when you now go to the local government, now ask them, what ward are you from? You say, what is ward?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So let me put it in perspective. I'm from Ondo State. Ondo State has 18 local governments, 3 senatorial districts.
Okay.
I'm from Ondo Central.
Okay.
Right? Every state has 3 senatorial districts, Central, South, and North.
Okay.
Right?
I love this crash course into politics, by the way, guys.
I'm from the Central. In that central part of my local government, there are 65 wards.
What?
65 wards across the 6 local governments. So there are 6 local governments that form the senatorial district, right? From that, 6 local governments form a senatorial district.
Yes,
and
I got
it varies in different states. But in my own case, there are 6 local governments that form the senatorial district.
65.
There are 65 wards across those 6 local governments.
Wow.
In my own local government, where I'm from, Ondo West and East local government, we have 12 wards.
Oh my God.
And we have 10 wards, right? 10 wards in the east, 12 wards in the west.
What is a ward?
Hold on. I'm from the Ondo West, where I'm from Ward 11.
I'm lost.
Exactly. So a ward can be a street. A ward is a defined geographical area,
location.
right?
I
That has been mapped out. In Nigeria, there are 730 something wards, 38 wards across the 778 wards across the entire country. Across the country. And everybody belongs to a ward. So your politics begins in your ward. Your philanthropy begins in your ward. If everybody can make contributions to their ward, Nigeria becomes a better place.
How are we going to teach people that? You just
information first.
So how do we disseminate or push that information out in bite? You just gave me in 2 minutes. You've taught me more than I've learned in my 38 years on Earth.
The way to pass the information is by conversation with giants.
You heard that. I really like that. I like that. So is that why you're doing this?
Well, it's part of the reason. The major reason is to have conversations, real stories with real people who ordinarily will not want to be behind the camera, ordinarily are not concerned about what benefits their stories can be to people. They don't know how influential their stories can be. The idea is to bring them out, have these conversations, be free about it, for people to pick up nuggets. And that's the entire vision of Conversation with Giants, because there are a lot of people who are thinking about it, being this person and doing that and doing this, and have they're still a bit timid and they still have this insecurity about moving forward. But hopefully when they hear from a giant, they understand that this dream is possible.
No, I will say, like, for me as an entrepreneur, what you're doing makes a lot of sense, because a lot of the things my generation complains about is the big vacuum, big information vacuum that we're experiencing, and we are all trying to close that gap through conversations. There are a lot of podcasts out at the moment, a lot of interviewing each other. But I will say, it's still what you taught me in 2 minutes here. I still need to understand how we're going to commercialize that, because for me, I think that is where the success of policy meets privacy lies. I still say this: where do I go for information? The truth is, I don't know my ward. I don't know what town meetings I'm supposed to go to. But the ones I would enjoy are the ones people like yourselves can put together. So how do we get to that point where young people are more involved in politics from an information perspective?
I think the answer to that, there's really no answer to that question, but I think the strategy for that to happen is when you're beginning to see people like yourself go into political office, and you now become more curious about why they're there, what they're doing. And chances are, if they're performing as individuals in those positions, you get more interest, right? And when you're interested in something, you feed and fetch for information, right? If you want to go into a particular business that will make you money, you're going to do as much research as possible. So when you see these people in offices, you come across a commissioning of a project that this person is doing and that person is doing, and you went to school with this person, and you're like, wow, this is actually happening, right? You now begin to do more research about what agency is it leading and what is it doing. And from there, you get more information, right? So I think what has happened over a period of time is people have lost interest in governance and government because it's just not attractive, right? But the more people who go in as the first line of defense, so the first line that shows up in a war, right, are the guys who take the biggest hits, right? The entire military behind the generals who are in front are in safe zone.
That makes sense.
We are in front right now. We're putting our bodies forward. We're taking the sacrifices. We're taking the hits. Hopefully, that would allow people that want to come behind us have more of an informed strategy as to how to move forward. So that's the intention. The more people that get involved, the more interest that you would have. If tomorrow I'm running for an office, you're going to want to know a bit more.
I have to ask.
Exactly, right? And similar to you, a lot more other people will be interested, right? And then from there, the story begins to change and people begin to realize that it's possible.
What you said is actually true, because when you were running for office, and I'll ask loads of questions, and you're a very interesting man, because you got up from your house, came to my home, sat down with me and my husband, and you said, throw it at me. Yeah. And we're questioning, you were answering. I thought, this guy he gets it. He knows what he wants. Now, my question is, you did run for office. Like I said, the government, I don't even know if the word scares me. It's just, like you said, it's uninteresting. I don't know what's going on. And when you don't know, you don't go in there. What was your experience like running for office? Like, you have to share that, because then you tell us to show interest. But I want to know what your experience was like.
So I think, first of all, the biggest fear going into office was leaving the known for the unknown. All my life I've been in control of my situation. Business, charity, family, whatever it is, you're in certain control. And you're moving into a territory where you don't know who the pilots are, and you're just flying in this plane, and you don't even know where you're going to land, right? But for me, I was willing to take a chance because I knew that, worst case scenario, I can start all over again and build from scratch, because you can't take away what is already in me, right? You can only take from me, you can't take what is in me, right? So I knew that my insurance was always going to be, I have a second address. If this fails, I go back and I begin to rebuild and re-strategize and move forward. However, going into that journey required 100% commitment. I moved from Lagos to Ondo. I lived there for 1 year. I spent 85% of my time in Ondo, away from my family, away from everything that I knew. Language barrier. There's Yoruba and there's Yoruba.
Yes.
the Ondo dialect is there.
My mom is
And
from Owo.
I was mocked. They laughed at me.
Really?
Yeah, this Ondo man that doesn't know how to speak Ondo.
Okay, I see
Right?
that.
So all those things were done in the beginning to discourage you, right? And you realize, but because you are thick-skinned and you have been through a lot more than they, I can take their insults about speaking a language. It's a lot easier than sitting across a banker that you owe 10 billion and you can't pay your loans because of different issues and you have to restructure. That's a harder conversation for me than you there telling me I can't speak. For me, it's a joke.
Fair enough.
It was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm sure I can learn, right? So I've been through things that prepared me for those sort of things. So it wasn't a concern to me. I took it on and I said, look, and I actually flipped it on them. I would literally go for campaigns and I would say, I'm the guy who cannot speak your language, but I'm the guy who's going to take you to the, to where you really
Come
need
on.
to be, right? And I said to them, I said, look, in the Senate where I want to go, is English we speak there.
Fair.
We don't speak Yoruba, we don't speak Hausa. We legislate and we make laws and policies that will inform you and guide institutions, guide your way of life, right? Governance in general. And this is my assignment, right? So for me, all this is all well and good, but
It almost
fine.
feels like the smallest issue
Yeah,
in
but
that
it was
moment, yeah.
lesson 101 because I realized that with all the knowledge I was able to, gather, ascertain over the years, I was now like a little child all over again, trying to learn. Because I tell you, local intelligence, native intelligence, compared to education, compared to work experience, compared to connections, night and day. If you don't find a way of
Wow.
bringing your connections, bringing your education, bringing your exposure, and matching it with local intelligence, you're not going anywhere. And for me, I think that was my biggest gain coming out of the entire process.
How can you define local intelligence
So
to
local
us?
intelligence and native intelligence, two different things.
Okay.
Local intelligence is all the information I just told you in 2 minutes.
Okay.
You have no idea that these structures, institutions. Should I break it down to the wards? In the wards, you have 27 ESCO members.
Okay. Hey, good.
Right? In your local government, you have 27 local government ESCOs. Your ward, you have a ward chairman, you have a vice chairman, you have a woman leader, you have a youth leader, you have a secretary. So you have an organization. These organizations exist in the structure. That word you keep hearing in politics is called structure. Structure is human beings. Structures are those arrangements that are put in place. So you must ensure that you have complete knowledge, local knowledge of what exists, right? When you have that, then you're ready, 50%. The other 50% is the native intelligence. That native intelligence is the opposite of urban intelligence.
Oh my
So
God.
what you see and how you react business-wise, your reaction, your decisions in the urban cities like Lagos is two different countries. The way I'm going to react to things, respond to things, the way I accept things, what I listen to, native intelligence goes a long way in understanding what they're trying to tell you. Someone is telling you something. If you come to Ondo with me and someone is speaking to us, right? Whatever the person is saying, you're going to take it 100% different from where I'll take it. And I'm right or wrong. You have come from Lagos. You don't know what the guy is saying.
Oh my God.
They're two different languages. So you must be able to bridge that gap and understand both. And then you're ready, because that's the only way. You say if you go to Rome, you act like the Romans. That's the only way you can lead these people. So I spent a lot of time trying to gather my local intelligence, my native intelligence, get connected to the people. On a Friday night, I moved from, being in high-end bars and restaurants in Lagos to literally going to creeks and sheds
Spending time.
at 10 p.m. at night, literally eating fish and drinking the worst kind of beer with these guys, right? All guards down, just doing our thing, right? And just being among. And that's what I was able to use to build my native intelligence and understand. Because if you eat and dine with people, you get to know them a bit better, right? So I went to the bottom of the pyramid to go get what I was really looking for. And for me, it was a great lesson, and I wouldn't change a thing, to be honest with you.
Never heard of native and local intelligence,
No, it
but it
exists.
makes so much sense. Is that the same for other parts of the world, or is that unique to developing countries with so many layers of big population tribes? Like, what would you...
How do you think Trump won? You know, the
So he used native and local
the entire second coming of
intelligence.
Trump.
Ah,
I knew his result. I knew all the states were going to move from blue to red because I saw the game the Democrats were playing. They were playing the social media game. They were playing the lifestyle game. Trump had gone
native
down to the
intelligence.
grassroots. The people who had hatred.
They don't even leave their countries, apparently.
Those guys that don't live those bungalows
Yes.
in America that have their shotgun. That if you come near the house, they will bring out their gun and say you're trespassing.
Those
They
are the
went
people
there to
he
go and
went-
campaign to those guys. They brought those guys out. So by 4 hours after the election, 4 hours after voting, election was over. Trump had won the election by miles.
So native
So he
and
went
local.
down. He understands the American voters. He understands where to go into, and that's exactly what Mimico did. That's why it's one of
You
my role
bring
models.
people that don't even vote
The
usually, and you
forgotten
rile
people. The
them
forgotten
up.
people. You try and connect with them, and I always tell people to win an election in Nigeria without resources, like the resources that you require to maybe these days they call it vote buying, right? You have to run a people's election. People's election is an election that the people they are going out because of you. They're not going out because of anything you want to give them. The last election
That
we had,
reminds me of Shea Makinde.
yeah,
I think like whenever I think of him, I see myself thinking I would go out for him.
listen, we had a conversation with one of our giants, political guy, and he said to us, he was a sitting minister under Obasanjo's administration between 1999 and 2007. He was the Minister of Health, and Obasanjo's one of his closest friends at the time, late Governor Agago of Ondo State,
yeah.
right? Was the sitting governor of Ondo. And Mimico went to, the giant went to Mr. President and said, Mr. President, I want to go and contest for governor of Lagos. And he told him, of Ondo, and he said to him, you better go back to your office as Minister of Health. You want to go and contest against my friend, Shegun. Stop it. Don't resign, because if you resign and you come back after you lose, I will not employ you again. He said, okay, sir. He left, and the next day he wrote his resignation letter and left.
He resigned.
He resigned as minister. We don't have this kind of people anymore. He resigned as minister, went back to Ondo. Agago was the sitting governor of Ondo in his first term. Mimico contested a second term against him, against not just Agago, but the president, who was his former boss, right? Went after that office, won the election, but he took the election from him, went to court, the mandate was taken away from him for 2 years. He was in court. And the people ensured that he won that mandate and he came back as governor. Removed.
Got you.
But it was a
So
it was a people because Mimico had gone into the grassroots and has connected with the people. So the people were not going to take it for granted. So
Wow.
I think there's a formula, and it's pro-people. The formula is about being pro-people, right? It's not about party.
I mean, that works with everything.
Yeah, when you're pro-people, people will follow, people will connect with what you're trying to do. And I think, for me, that's my style. That's my whole essence of going into the political space. And that's the strategy we're using. And hopefully, we can get good results.
How do you, so pro-people, native intelligence, local intelligence, what happens when they don't like you and they don't believe in you? How do you navigate that?
You can't be liked by everyone. Everyone will not support you. That's why you have political parties. You have Republicans, you have Democrats. You have conservatives, you have Labour. In this case, you have PDP, you have APC, you have ADC, you have this, you have that. Right? So people are always going to be affiliated with a side. But what you can do is try in your own capacity to convince as many people to be on your own side, right? And hopefully when you get there, you can unify the people who didn't want you, and you can carry everyone's interest. And that's the rule of the game.
So, you ran for office. it didn't click. How was that?
It was probably the most difficult time in my life. I wasn't used to failing. I succeed at everything I do because I'm in control. But this was one thing I couldn't control, right? I ran probably in the Southwest as a young man, probably one of the best campaigns they've ever seen. My campaign went global. I got a lot of phone calls. The reach was of course, with social media now, people were so interested in what I was doing, right? And I went to every single ward across my senatorial district 3 times, 65 of them, right?
3 times?
3 times. I went to
all of them?
Every single ward. And this some wards, you have to go on a bike, on a Okada by 2 hours through a muddy road. You sit on a bike for 2 hours, and yes, that's how, because it's in the village.
I'm literally doing the maths.
Yeah, it's a rural areas, and you have to go in.
That's pretty much half your year.
Yeah. So I connected with the people. I campaigned. I spent a lot of money, but it didn't happen, right? And it didn't happen for many reasons. It was politics 101. It was a lot of lessons, a few lessons that I thought that I kind of had in the bag, but until you get there, you never know, if how much you really in control of. And I remember, I didn't think I was going to lose, even while the votes were being counted. Literally, I was in the voting hall, and the voting was done, and it was collation, and there were 5 aspirants, and I was the youngest ever. I ran against a sitting minister. He was a minister of Niger Delta at the time, 73-year-old man. He was a senator before he became minister, huge political CV. And I remember a week before the election, he called me on the phone. He got my number and said, "Young man, come and see me." And I went to his house, and he said to me, "You have done well." I said, "What do you mean, sir?" He says, "My people want to support you, but I've told them that you are young, you still have time. Step down for me."
Whew.
Now I'm 72. Let me do one more term in the Senate.
Then you come in.
And then we'll support you. And I said to him, "Oga, Excellency, Honorable Minister, with all due respect, I've gone this far. And I would like to see this to the end. And I believe that I will win. And rather than you spending the next 4 years, right, being in the Senate, you can spend the next 4 years advising me in the Senate."
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
That was good.
And I said it to him, and he looked at me and said, "Okay, well, best of luck," and I left.
What were you thinking in that moment when you were responding? Were you worried? Were you thinking, okay?
No, based on my calculation, there was no way I wasn't going to win the election. So I was so confident, because I came to that election with not just conversations, because young people come to elections, they start speaking grammar, social media, but you don't back it.
You were doing.
I was doing what the mature men would do, right? So you go to a rally that has maybe 500, 600, 1,000 people, right? And you have to provide, incentives, palliatives, all these things.
Everything.
And my campaign team will literally assess what all the other candidates have done in all those rallies. And I'll tell them everything they have done.
Beat it.
Add everything together and double it. And tell them TA is coming. So I caused serious problem. But again,
I like it though.
what
That's how
I
politics
realized,
should be.
in an environment that is balanced.
Fair.
There are only 2 jokers in a pack of cards. Once a politician knows your strength, it becomes your weakness. So at that point, they knew that dollar for dollar, naira for naira, I could match them. So they deployed strategies that I didn't have access to. and they took away the structure from me. And what that meant was all the machinery that is used for elections, like electioneering, voting, I was blindsided to everything. 3 days to the election, they cut everything off within the party structure. I had no communication. Everybody went ghost. So I had money to spend, but no one to spend it on, right? So they took everything, they disarmed me because they said, okay, this boy is the most popular by miles. And naturally, they like him because he's young, and he's not just coming to talk. He's matching us. So it's a problem, right? So I now became a threat. So what lessons from that is simple. Right now, my cars are close to my chest. No one's going to see me coming. When I turn up, I'm moving like a crocodile. The water is moving, but you don't see the animal.
Again.
When I come out, I'm biting.
That.
That's it. You're gone. So I'm deploying a new strategy from experience now. But we go again. We'll go again, and we'll see how it goes.
Wow, I actually really enjoyed that because I think it's easy to speak to people all the time and things work out for them. And hearing you speak about how you felt when something didn't go as planned is refreshing because...
I was depressed, by the way, for 3 months.
What was harder for you?
I didn't realize that.
Is it a defeat or
so
the
someone
work
told
you
me
had
something.
put
For a
in?
man, there are two things that can break a man the most. Right? I'm not sure if it's appropriate.
Please share.
But the first thing is if he finds out there's any kind of infidelity going on
with
with
his wife, fair?
and losing an election. 2 things. But a lot of people are not going to understand what
The
that
election
feels like
part,
because they haven't
they
gone
never
into it.
done it.
Literally lost the election, went straight into president. Because 2 weeks after my election was the presidential election. So I had to pick myself up and then go right back into presidential. And I was supporting a different candidate who also lost the presidential, right? So we had lost 2 elections at this point. And I remember I went ghost. I told literally my family, everyone, I didn't want to speak to anyone. I was just self-reflecting for about 2 weeks on my own. And then I traveled for about a month. But for about 3 months, it took a while for me to get my orientation back. But I took defeat like a champ. I lost the election. I conceded. The next morning, I remember leaving the election hall, and I had hundreds and thousands of supporters literally following me out of the hall and screaming and wanting to cause chaos, right? And rejecting the election results. And I said everyone should meet me at the hotel. I said, listen,
You're not speaking Yoruba today.
I said, you people should not, no fighting, no chaos. Relax. Tomorrow, maybe we'll challenge the results. I just used that to calm them down. And I remember I got home at 2 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep for like 4 days leading to the election straight. I was up for 4 days straight. And at 6 a.m., I got my phone and I went on Facebook, Instagram, because Facebook is what we use to connect with the indigents.
Facebook, yeah.
And I put out a statement. I didn't go to my press people because they were not even in a place to accept the results. So I went and I did my press release myself. And I said I conceded and I said to them that this election was lost, right? I didn't get the announcement, but I'm glad that I won the people. And for me, that's what was important, right? The people remained in my corner, and someday God will give me the opportunity to fight for them. And then we live to fight another day. And I put it out there, and I celebrated the next day. I did a big victory party. And people were thinking, this guy is crazy. You just lost an election, spent all this money. I did a massive party in my house, a massive empowerment, giving people motorbikes. I gave out 2 cars. I gave out money. I gave out sewing machines. I empowered a lot of people just to show that it's not really about
someone always has to win and someone always has to lose.
And it's not really about the position. How do you want to affect lives, right? And I walked away from it, and I came back to Lagos, wore my suit, came back to my office, and started to rebuild. So
would you do it again?
I'm going again, yeah. So
the defeat didn't really knock you back. It knocked you, but you're back at it.
I mean, a loss, a defeat is always a setback for a comeback.
To be honest.
Right? Yeah. So for me, the comeback is at some point it will happen. And, as long as you can, when you go there, you give people your best. That's what it is for me. So no big deal.
Okay. So Tola, you're married. You have 2 sons.
Yeah.
How has your journey as an entrepreneur, philanthropist, politician, how do you balance that with your day-to-day? Like, I have to know. Do you have time?
I don't have enough time because 24 hours is not enough. As you know, you're a businesswoman yourself. And it's November this weekend.
I can't
How?
believe it, yeah.
2025 is gone. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? It was just Christmas
Last
2 weeks ago.
yeah, literally.
And the year is gone. So time flies, right? And because time flies, you have to be very intentional about how you spend your time, right? So I tend to try and balance as much as possible. I would love to do a lot more. But what I do now is longer stretches out with my family because I cannot do
The
amount. I
day-to-day.
can't put in the amount of hours I need on a daily, on a weekly basis. When I can, I stretch it out. I just came back from a 2 months summer holiday, 8 weeks. My family only. Went everywhere, enjoyed, bonded with the boys, my wife, everyone was good. And I find that can take you, a couple weeks, a couple months, while you're still doing the in-between. So you have to find out what works for you. I travel a lot. I'm always on the road because of business, politics, philanthropy. I'm always moving. So because of that, I dip in. I do my hours. I do my bedtime with them early in the morning before I head out for my workout. But again, you try and find quality time where you can spend longer stretches with them because that's the only way you can live a balanced life, and it's important. So.
I want to ask you this, and it's more personal question, but I want to ask because as a woman who is in business, I think the person I choose as a life partner is very critical to my success. For someone who always knew who he would be, who was always you've been leading since a young age, you've been an entrepreneur since you were 21, did you feel like in your quest of finding a life partner that who you are had to show up? Like, what am I trying to ask? Did you have to intentionally pick your life partner based on all these things you're going to do?
I mean,
or did you let love just get to you?
No. For me, life is about choices, right? And you make your intentions known from the beginning. But what you find, and most times, they probably should do some more research about it. I don't know if it's accurate, but I feel like men always marry women that are similar to their moms.
I believe that.
Agree? 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 times, maybe?
I mean, my husband, I'll probably say I'm similar to his
Correct.
mom.
Strong woman,
yes.
Independent, bold.
Yes.
Right. So, in my own case, similar, right? A woman that was not bold, ambitious, strong, powerful, I was never going to be attracted to that kind of person.
It would be a struggle.
It's not going to
I even think apart from attraction, they will struggle with your lifestyle and the work levels.
So, for me, it was easy because I had that at the back of my mind. I found that in the person that I'm with right now, and it's been seamless. So
technically,
it's not a difficult.
People should factor that.
Oh yeah.
Clear choice in.
It's for life. It's for life. Imagine wearing the same T-shirt for life. You have to really like it, right? You have to really be glued to that outfit because this person is going to show up every morning and every night.
Every day.
You have to deal with it. So you need to ensure you pick the right person.
I like that. And I ask that question because I feel like with ambition comes clarity, and people find that they're surprised by their partner's involvement in a marriage. And I think ambition really requires the right partner because it can propel you or it can pull you back.
Correct.
Now, you mentioned at the beginning how your parents wanted you to go into medicine. I want to ask the same of your sons. Do you know what you want them to do? Deep down.
So most times, parents would typically want to live out the dreams that they couldn't actualize through their kids.
Fair.
So one major thing for me was sports.
Okay.
I was good at sports, a few sports. Growing up, I swam like a fish. I won a lot of awards in the Koi Club at the time. at a young age.
Interesting.
I moved from that to playing basketball. When I was in university, I took my basketball team to Division One in England. I was the captain of the basketball team, president of Basketball Association, right? So I was very involved in sports, and ultimately I wanted to go and play professional basketball. My parents, typical Nigerian parents, they want
What's
education,
that?
education first,
Yes.
and that opportunity kind of blew. So ideally, I would love to see those boys in the jersey, either playing soccer on a football pitch or basketball on a basketball court, and I'm courtside saying,
That's my boy.
yeah, maybe as president. So
Sin.
yeah. So again,
Liar too much.
again, it makes sense, right? The president's son is playing, and we're representing Africa. At the same time, they're doing their thing, and they're they're
Do you know what's so
global leaders.
interesting? These dreams might seem like you're smiling, but that's what manifestation is technically.
you speak it,
So
you
you would
speak
like
it.
them to play sports.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I mean, they typically, they will need to do what
They
they
want.
desire, right? And I can already see their personalities are different already. They're into sports, but that will change, I'm sure. But ultimately, we'll support them whatever they want to
What
do.
they
To
do.
be honest with you.
Can I ask you a question? It's very interesting. Would you let your kids go into entertainment?
What kind?
Mm,
Music,
I didn't think about that question, but like
hospitality.
music, hospitality. Okay, let me put it this way. Would you let your kids go into like proper arts, like be actors, musicians, or would you first think, and then say, okay? And I ask that question because a lot of us are now parents. It's important we're honest with ourselves. We're raised a certain way. So we still have elements of those in how we pass on to our kids. And I want to ask a strong entrepreneur, philanthropist, politician, like if the boys were to say, Dad, I want to be an actor or I want to play in music, how?
I mean, I think my question, my one response to anything they want to do will be why.
Start with why.
Yeah, why do you want to do it, right? People want to do different things for different reasons. People want to be celebrities because they want fame, right? They want money. What do you want, right?
What's the why?
And for me, if I get the right answers, change the narrative, put my country on the map, be influential, those things make sense. And I will encourage them along those lines. But if it's for the wrong reasons, right now it's still playful ambition. They all want to be Ronaldo. Every boy that is
Every
below
young,
10. I mean,
literally.
Ronaldo is an amazing human being because I don't understand how these guys have never met this guy.
Yeah.
And every boy below 10 wants to be CR7, right? So I'm like, why do you want to be CR7? And they're like, oh, I like the way he plays. I like his celebration, right?
Okay.
Things like that. So just know what the reasons
Start
are.
to shape that up.
Right, and then we can shape it up, we can fine tune it, and then we can support them. It's all
Yeah.
about pointing them in the right direction.
No, I like that. And the reason I ask that is because I even wonder for us or for even someone like yourself, is there something outside your professional life you could be doing? I mean, you mentioned basketball, but what else would you say, I wish I had time to do this. I would be good at this.
It's acting, actually.
That is so interesting. I see it.
Yeah. So in my other life, it would be nice to be a nice, Brad Pitt type situation. DiCaprio. These are my favorite.
Do you think you can
actors.
get into character?
Yeah, I think I can put it off. I think I can. I can act out of character.
What sort of roles could you do an emotional role?
No, action. No.
And that's why I had to ask it. So action.
Action, fully.
Action as in with guns.
Guns.
Like the whole works.
Somersault, everything. I love
That's
it.
funny. That's so interesting.
I love it.
And what is your favorite movie? And why?
So it's definitely a Denzel movie,
Okay.
and it's John Q.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he made a sacrifice. The man wanted his son to live. He put a gun to the heads of the doctors and the nurses to give his son a new heart, which he couldn't pay for. It cost $250,000 to do a heart surgery. He didn't care about spending life in prison but he wanted that kid to live because he didn't bring a kid to this world to suffer, right? And it wasn't his choice that his kid had heart failure at the age of 6, right? And he did what it took to ensure the boy had a good life. And for me, that sacrifice means everything. And for me, that's one of my favorite movies, John Q.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I was actually expecting your, I don't know, Scarface.
No.
That is so interesting. It brings me to ask a next question, because a lot of people genuinely feel like success is attributed to luck, family, or an inheritance, or just someone giving you a lease of life. And as you mentioned, John Q, I wanted to ask you, what would you tell young people who feel like a lot of things that they're going through is as a result of their circumstance, and they cannot kind of pull through from, or rather, they don't feel like they can make a difference because of their limited circumstances?
I mean, the truth is, there's no situation that is perfect, right? Even people from privileged homes, privileged situations have their own shortcomings, have their own handicaps, right? Sometimes even wealth in itself can become a problem.
A handicap.
Right? We find a lot of people today who have a major drug crisis in the country, for example. These are people that have access to money, right? But they've used the money for the wrong reasons, right? And they've gone into all types of things that's affecting how they live today. I think for young people, you have to be very stern as to what you want out of life as an objective. For me, you have to have certain principles, right? What are your do's, what are your don'ts, right? And once you're able to set yourself some kind of guide in terms of principles, I think that would inform your choices, right? Because you know your limits, you know what your targets are, and you go after it. A lot of people just kind of wake up and exist. What are you setting? What are the goals you're setting for yourself today, for the week, for the month, for the year, and how do you intend to go after it? You can't. I don't want to be cliche and say you can make your own luck, but you're not going to stay at home and you think luck is going to come to you. It's not. It's not going to. You have to go out there. You have to meet people. You have to talk. You have to have a conversation. You have to have an idea. You know, for you, fully formed or not, start somewhere, right? Begin to have conversations, and things would shape up, and based on those targets and goals that you set yourself, you know, you can then fine tune it and begin to make sense out of life. And there's really no, you know, I'm really opposed to people who have this fairy tale story of this is how you do it and that's how you do it, because there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that they don't want to say.
You can't explain.
So for me, it's about setting your principles, setting your targets, setting your goals, knowing exactly what you want to achieve and going after it. And, you know, you fail 6 times, you stand up the 7th time and try again and keep trying. And you know, they tell you can get something wrong 99 times, you only get it right once. And then when you get it right, and you keep moving. I think for young people, it's a spirit of not giving up, of being focused on what exactly you want to do and trying to achieve it. And, you know, you navigate all the different paths, whether it's rough or whether it's smooth. And once you have your eye on the target, you know, you remain focused and you get there. It's only a matter of time.
Thank you for that. That's actually so helpful, and I really hope you guys took that on, because it's actually really solid advice. Like, I don't think privilege is the only way to get there. And like Tola said, like, luck can work for you if you do put in the work. Tola, it sounds like a lot of the things you're doing, correct me if I'm wrong, are you building for legacy, or are you building for nation building, or would you say a bit of both?
Well, firstly, I'm building because it has to be built.
Okay.
Right? Essentially, it's like going to a virgin land with nothing, right? Someone has to put up roads, someone has to put up buildings, right? So we're building because the opportunity is there to build, and we're interested in building, right? Okay. When you build, you want to build something that is strong enough to outlive you, and that now becomes legacy.
Fair enough.
Right?
Okay.
So
I like that.
essentially when you start, You start because it's an opportunity to build, right? Dangote would not have the world's largest refinery today if the opportunity to refine products in Nigeria wasn't
Did not
there.
exist.
Right? So that opportunity was there and decided to build. And now it's a legacy project, right? So again, the opportunity has to be there. Spot the opportunity, start, plant a seed, watch it grow, and then it now becomes a tree that no one wants to, everyone's admiring.
What I hear there is opportunity meets preparedness.
Correct.
Got it. I like that. Tola, as we wrap up, I want to ask you a question. What is one thing you would say people misunderstand about you?
So a lot of people think I'm arrogant.
Okay.
And there's a thin line between arrogance and confidence.
Okay.
And it's very hard, depending on what side of the table you're on, to decide which one it is.
Okay.
And I've sat in rooms with people that I need help from, and my conversation and the confidence and the determination can come across as arrogant. I'm like, but you came here to get a loan, and you're talking as if you don't need us.
We're the ones begging you.
But I'm speaking to them as, you need this product as much as I need your money.
I see.
Because it's going to give you a good return, and we're both going to be happy.
So symbiosis is what you're preaching.
Right. So for me, there's a lot of misunderstanding when it, and there's a lot of controversy around my personality when it comes to being arrogant and being confident. I just know what I want. I go after it, and I try and shut out the noise.
Okay.
Because there will always be noise. And for me, I think it's something that I've been correcting, and hopefully through conversations with giants, people begin to see a different side, and hopefully we can, express beyond what people just see on the surface, and people, to take a different decision when it comes to our personality. So
I like that and do you think that that's something that's difficult to address on a day-to-day because it's more of a misunderstanding than actual? Or is it more because you know that a person in your position kind of has to go through this?
So people see you from afar, and they're always going to make up their minds from what they see. They can't come close to you, so they make assumptions, right? What you need to do is you need to begin to communicate. Things around you need to begin to communicate differently. So right now, what I've been able to do is build a shield around me that says otherwise. Okay. Personality might ooze, he is arrogant, but everything else is doing is suggesting something else, right? So what I'm now deciding to do is let my work speak for itself.
Speak for itself.
Yeah.
If you could sit with Dr. Tola Awosika in 20 years, what would he thank you for today?
20 years from now, based on my long-term entrepreneurial journey, philanthropical journey, and political journey, I should be wrapping up my political career in 20 years. After attaining the highest office in the country, of course, I should be done and playing the mentorship role for people who want to come after me. 20 years from now, I'll be thankful for everyone that I've sat with and have basically told me the truth. Good or bad, right? Nice or hard, bitter or sweet. I'll be thankful for those who said you were wrong, those who said don't do it this way, do it this way. Because essentially, if I'm telling a story 20 years from now that ends pretty nicely, is because of those things that I was able to get from those people, right? And that's the whole essence of Conversation with Giants today. We want to learn from these giants. What does Nigeria look like for us 20 years from now, right? What should we be looking for? What should we begin to navigate? I feel like I've almost gone through a lifetime of business just in the last 7 years, between COVID, NSAS, devaluation,
elections,
40% inflation, so many different crises, and we've survived, right? But it's not new. When you talk to couple people, people that, you know, aged 60 and above, they'll tell you that Nigeria has gone through something
This
similar
cycle.
before, and this is what they've done, and this is what we need to be doing. So for me, I'll be grateful for all the nuggets I get from people who can allow me extend my own career and my own life, you know, to tell a different story 20 years from now.
I like that answer. I like that answer because it has a lot of reflection in it, and I genuinely feel like if people reflect a lot, we might have fixed a lot of things, because going back is always the goal. Oh, did I do it wrong? Did I do it right? Did I make a mistake? What can I correct? Okay. I have this final question, and I want to ask it because it's very important we leave here with a message. You started Conversation with Giants, which I think is amazing, especially for people like myself who wants to hear the stories of the people who have done it before me, or my peers who are doing it better than me, and to keep understanding. What would you say would be your final message that you want to leave with people today?
I mean, I have a couple things, but I think the main message would be our journeys might be singular, but our destiny is shared, right? And it's shared because we share a common purpose, right? We want to build the country of our dreams. We want to build the tribe of our dreams. We want to build the population of our dreams, right? And everyone is contributing in their own little way, whether it's someone who has a restaurant, or someone who has a hotel, or has a pharmacy, or has a hospital, or has a farm, whatever it is, right? We're all trying to be productive.
Yes.
What I would say to the people who are watching and people who want a better future for the country and for themselves is try and be as productive as you can be in your own little way. And I think that's my message for the people.
That was simple and effective.
Yeah.
Just be productive.
Yeah.
If everyone has a drop of productivity, we would become a nation of a lot of productivity. That was good. Conversation with Giants, guys. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that. I know I did. Not only did I enjoy it, I think I'm going to leave here with a lot of lessons, knowledge, and empowerment on how to kind of take my next steps as an entrepreneur myself. And I really think you must stay tuned to all the Conversation with Giants, because there's a very, very, very amazing lineup. I have enjoyed my conversation with Tola today, and I hope you do too. Stay tuned. Thank you.